Hello, everyone, and welcome to Schwab Coaching. My name is Cameron May. I'm a Senior Manager of Trading and Derivatives Education here at Schwab, and this is Getting Started with Options. And today, I think is going to be a really important discussion. There are lots and lots and lots of people out there very intrigued by the idea of trading options, but it has a bit of a reputation for being complicated, for being risky, for maybe even being expensive. So today, I wanted to talk about how someone who just has a curiosity about options might learn about options trading without spending a penny, without risking a dime. Today is going to be a risk-free beginner's guide to learning about options trading. This is going to be fun. We're going to be talking about how to get access to tools, knowledge, and experience without spending any money, without risking anything, and really for someone who's just trying to decide for themselves whether options are ever going to play a role for their portfolio, this could be very important. So hope you'll stick with me through the entire discussion. But before we can get to any of that, though, let me first of all say hello to everybody who's chatting in out there in YouTube. Great to see all the familiar names. Hello there, Bob and Eric, David, Lawrence, Jerry, Jay Richardson, Eva, Paul, Simone, and everybody else. Thanks for joining us week after week. We always appreciate your attendance and your contributions to these discussions. If you are here for the very first time, if you're listening in for the first time, welcome. Great to have you here. As a matter of fact, you have great timing. This one's constructed just for you. But if you're watching on the YouTube archive after the live stream is concluded, enjoy the recording, but also be aware that you're invited to join us in the live stream if you'd like to be here. This is a Tuesday webcast series. We kick things off promptly at noon Eastern if you'd like to join us. Now, I want to issue an invitation to you. Please, if you enjoy these presentations, you should be following your favorite Schwab presenters on social media. You can find me, as an example, you can find me on X. You can find and follow me there at Cameron May CS. You can also find and follow me on LinkedIn. Just go to linkedin.com/in/Cameron May CS. But that'll do it. Let's dive into this discussion. And of course, as we do, we have to kick things off with a reminder of the risk associated with this undertaking. Options certainly carry risk, so this is important information. The information here is for general informational purposes only and should not be considered an individualized recommendation or endorsement of any particular security, chart pattern, or investment strategy. Options carry a high level of risk and are not suitable for all investors. Covered calls provide downside protection only to the extent of the premiums received and prevent any profitability above the strike price of the call. Schwab does not recommend the use of technical analysis as sole means of investment research. Investing involves risks, including the loss of principal. And finally, any investment decision you make in your self-directed account is solely your responsibility. All right, so this morning, as I was envisioning this discussion, I had that brand new would-be options learner in mind. And I wanted to talk about how they can kick things off without having the pressure on them of real market conditions. But we want to simulate that to the fullest extent possible. So I want to talk through gaining access to tools that actually enable options trading, but in a risk-free environment. Number two, we want to talk about how a trader might gain knowledge, or a would-be trader might gain knowledge about how options actually work. And then we're going to be talking about how that trader might gain meaningful experience, again, without investing anything in real life, just practicing, so they can ultimately make a decision whether options are ever going to play a role for their portfolio. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Let's get right into this discussion. Let's go right to, I will be coming back here to our Thinkorswim desktop, but first thing I want to talk about is getting access to the tools of trading. It's fine to have knowledge, but if we don't have the knowledge, if we don't have the tools to put that knowledge into action, it kind of is a dead end. So throughout this presentation, I'm going to be using something called Thinkorswim Paper Money. That's a trading software platform that provides the tools for the planning and placing of options trades, among other different, lots of other strategies that we might do. But today's topic is options trading. And that software can be downloaded free of charge from within your Schwab Online account. You just log into Schwab Online, or you just go to your Schwab.com account, log in, go to the Trade tab once we're logged in, and then click on Thinkorswim Desktop. The desktop name tells us we're downloading desktop software. It's going to create a little icon on your computer's desktop. So if I select that, from here, I think it's very intuitive. We just go down here to where it says learn how to enable thinkorswim, click that blue button, and then just follow the on-screen prompts from there. It'll walk you through what thinkorswim is, which is, in summary, it's trading and investing software, including for options trading. One of the huge advantages of thinkorswim over maybe some other software packages for trading, or just other platforms for trading, is that there is a mock-up or a practice version called Paper Money, where we can practice new strategies, we can learn new tools, all in a risk-free environment where we're not actually spending real money. It's actually preloaded with $200,000 of play money. So once we've downloaded thinkorswim, it creates an icon on your computer's desktop that looks like this right here, this splash icon. So when you see that on your desktop, you can just click on that and then log into thinkorswim using your Schwab credentials, just the same username and password. Now, as we log in, on the login screen, there will be a prompt asking, hey, Cameron, are you accessing your live accounts or are you accessing Paper Money? So all we need to do is select Paper Money, log in, and we find ourselves in this risk-free environment. And right up here in the upper left-hand corner, it says simulated trading. So this is where we go to find all of the tools that support this process of learning about options and putting that new knowledge into practice. Now, next up is gaining knowledge. We have tools. That's fine. We might own a hammer. We don't know what to do with it, right? So where do we go to learn about options trading? Well, embedded within the software is an education feature. So this is going to be step number 2. Download the software. Step number 1, get logged in. Step number 2 is begin to learn. So if we go to education, there are actually 2 subtabs, and we're going to be explicitly using the education subtab on that education primary tab. So as we go to that, bear with me for just a moment. It looks like it's timed me out. I'm just going to pull this over to my side screen and get logged back in. It'll only take me a moment. There we go. There we are. We pull that back in where you can see my screen again. All right. And as I was logging back in, again, I was just using my typical Schwab credentials. Now, this is for a Paper Money platform, for a demonstration platform. But we find ourselves back in here. Let's go to the home page on the Education tab. And this is where you would find yourself when you first click on Education and then on the Education subtab. Here we are on the home page, and we have a dedicated structured education for those that are learning about options. You can find that right here on this tab. So I'll go to Options, and there are 3 different courses. I do have a recommendation for which one to start with if we're just acquiring that initial bit of knowledge about how options work. So we're going to scroll down on that Options tab until we see courses. There they are. And here are the 3 courses. I think that the names will kind of give away which one might come first. I would suggest starting with this one, Options for Beginners, Income Strategies. We start with the income strategies because for many new learners of options trading, the income strategies, including covered calls and short puts, are commonly seen as being the most conservative. Now, not everybody holds that opinion, but it's a good launching point for a new trader who's just learning. We can click on this and start to work our way through how options work, 3 uses for options, the benefits and the risks of options trading, and so on. And this just goes through point by point, step by step, and helps that new learner acquire the knowledge of what options are and how they can make money, how they can lose money, the pros and the cons. So step number 2 is starting to gain knowledge. But this is sort of what my dad would call his book learning. Anybody heard that phrase? It's nice to read about something, might even be better to see it being put into practice. So For that purpose, I've actually constructed, as a complement to the written courses, I have a series of lessons that I put together for the new options learner. And those lessons are actually found on our YouTube page. So the next step, so we've downloaded Thinkorswim, we've accessed the education for options, started into that first course, working our way through. But to put the theory into practice, make sure you're also watching the lessons that I put together. So we find those. Let's go back here to YouTube. So the Schwab YouTube channel is called Trader Talks Schwab Coaching Webcast. And if you haven't subscribed to that channel, you can do that right now. Just go down below the video, click on the subscribe button. It only takes a second. It doesn't cost anything, but this allows you to join our live streams like the one that we're having right now, but you can also find the playlist for previous webcasts or videos. And that's where my series of structured lessons for the new options learner is found. So I'm going to go to playlists, and right here, about 1 row down, 2 rows down, where is it? There it is. Start here to learn about trading options. So this, I think, is going to be very nicely paired with the written courses. So if I click on View Full Playlist, you can see there are 10 lessons, and it just starts with trading options, building block number 1, and we learn about long calls, and we move on to long puts, and then short calls and short puts, and so on. And included in each one of these discussions is how to use this on the Thinkorswim platform. So it's, yes, explaining how options work again, but also putting it into practice on that Thinkorswim platform that we've just discussed and actually placing trades. Mega said you did the quiz today, so you're working your way through the courses. That's fantastic. All right, so this is where we can get that structured education, point by point, step by step. But I have a third suggestion in that effort to gain knowledge. So we have tools. Now we're acquiring knowledge. Well, when we get to the bottom of the lessons, that doesn't mean the learning is over. We actually meet every Tuesday and we continue to discuss getting started with options on an ongoing basis. And I expand beyond these 10 lessons, just get more repetition, maybe explore different concepts about options in greater detail using Thinkorswim and using current market conditions. So I'm just going to backpedal one step. Let's go back to our Schwab Coaching Webcast homepage here. And as I go back to the playlists, right down toward the bottom is a link to all of my webcasts. So we're looking for Getting Started with Options. That's the name of this webcast series, going beyond just the 10 lessons. The 10 lessons are actually found in this list of archives as well. But if I go to View Full Playlist, you'll notice this isn't just lessons. This is going deeper into options trading concepts like trading a vertical spread with a stop and a target for planning for profits or losses. Here's a more basic discussion of what an option contract really is in plain English with an example. But you can see how this might really be helpful in acquiring that knowledge. So 3 resources for the building of knowledge once we have the tools in Thinkorswim. Number 1 is the course, the courses that are found right within Thinkorswim. Number 2 are those lessons that I put together. And number 3 are the webcast archives on an ongoing basis. All right, so tools are great. Knowledge is fun, but if I can use an analogy, maybe not everybody can relate to this, but I might own a basketball and I have a hoop, and maybe I've gained all the knowledge. I've watched a bunch of basketball players play basketball. I've sat there on the edge of the court and I've read a book. I know all the rules. I know theoretically how to do a layup, but I've never actually done one. I've never actually shot a three-pointer. Well, for many, the learning is actually in the doing. So it's nice to have the tools. It's nice to have the knowledge. Now we need experience. Now, as I've shown you already, tools are available free of charge. As I've shown you already, right here on Thinkorswim and on YouTube, we don't have to pay anything to gain access to the knowledge. Well, experience has a reputation for being expensive. Got to pay your tuition, right? Actually, no. Once we have Thinkorswim, we can trade, we can plan and place trades, start to finish, without actually investing any real money, without having any real money at risk. So let's learn how to actually place trades. And so what I want to do today is what I would suggest everyone do as they're attempting to learn, just like that person who's trying to learn basketball. Don't try to learn sitting on the sidelines reading a manual. The manual is great. You need to know that stuff. It should be part of the learning. But as soon as possible, we need to break the ice with getting real experience. So that's what I want to spend the rest of our time on today, which is gaining actual experience. And this is in the simulated trading environment. So let's plan and place an example option trade today. So now let's go back to our charts. So within Thinkorswim, included in these tools is a charting capability. And I want to talk about, let's say we have a hypothetical investor or a trader who owns 100 shares of Walmart. Maybe they bought back here. You can see a little blue oval I put in here just for a point of reference. Maybe they bought a few months ago when prices are a little bit lower, but Walmart's really been going up. So let's say we own 100 shares of Walmart. We don't know anything about options trading yet, but we know what 100 shares mean for a stock investor. And it's been a very nice run since then. As a matter of fact, these last 4 days have been particularly strong with Walmart. Been running up and up and up and up, and those 100 shares that were maybe purchased back here for $104, $105 are now worth, what, about $127. However, look at what's been going on over those last 4 days. Do you think that there are any shareholders that are maybe a little bit concerned about the ongoing ability of Walmart, at least for the next day or two or three, maybe for the next couple of weeks, to keep up this kind of momentum? It possibly could continue to climb, but I would suspect that there are also going to be others who think that maybe shares might, take a little bit of a pause, just like they've done so many times in recent history after a nice run up in price. Typically, shares run up and they pull back, and they run up and they pull back. Doesn't happen always in a perfect rhythm. It doesn't. It's not always 100% predictable, obviously. But let's just say that that's our would-be traders' outlook for Walmart for the near term. A little bit of a pullback. Does that mean it's time to hit the panic button, sell their shares? I guess they can if they want to. Let's say that our trader here doesn't want to sell their shares. They want to hold on to their shares, but they're looking to options to provide some other way to maybe make money. And so I'm going to do what some consider to be the most conservative options trade for the new learner of option strategies. We're going to be doing what's called a covered call. And it starts with, rather conveniently, share ownership. And specifically, the ownership of around lots of shares. In other words, 100 or 200 or 300 shares. So in this example portfolio, so if you've never seen Thinkorswim Paper Money before, it really is it's a trading platform. It allows us to plan and place trades and track their performance, learn, practice with new tools. And when we're ready to go over to real trading, we can just log in, switch the toggle over from paper money trading to live trading and actually manage our real portfolios. But within this example portfolio, you can see right here, down here is 100 shares of Walmart. Trade price was $104.25. So pretty much in line with the assumption that we've made here. And let's break the ice. Let's do that first options trade. And we are going to be doing something called a covered call. But in order to do this in an informed way, it's nice. I'm going to be showing some of the tools, but we also have to demonstrate some of the knowledge as well. Let me just quickly explain what a covered call is. And Eva, thank you. Yes, I caught that out of the corner of my eye. Before we go to that covered call discussion and place our example trade, let me point you to what Eva just pointed out in the chats so kindly. So there is a link that's just been added to the chat window for the live stream audience, and it's a survey. So if you click that link right now, if you would, please do. Click on that survey link. It brings up a very short survey. It just has 2 questions. And then there's a comments box and a suggestion box. And if you take the time to fill out that survey, that information is sent straight to me, and I take the time to read through it, and it always helps. I read through the data, I read through the comments. Sometimes I take my discussion suggestions straight from those comments. So thanks for doing that. But let's get back to this. Let's get back to this discussion of just what an option is. Now, I'm not going to go into incredible detail into what an option is because I've provided the resources to you for you to learn what they are. But I don't want to go into this too terribly blindly either. But now we know, okay, so we're theoretically the owners of shares of Walmart. We think that the shares might pull back, so maybe price appreciation on the stock isn't offering a lot of near-term potential in this trader's eyes. Well, maybe there's some income that might be available. So here's what we're going to do. When we own shares of stock, I think it stands to logic that there might be someone else out there that may be interested in buying those shares from us. And as a matter of fact, they may even be willing to get into a contract where we guarantee, okay, we will sell our shares to you for a specific price, and you have to buy it within a specific period of time. We'll leave that up to that other trader to decide when they buy. But we're going to get into an option contract right now. All right, so I'm going to go to the Trade tab. And when we go to the Trade tab, we type in our symbol for Walmart, we can see right down below something referred to as the option chain. Now, the option chain is basically a bunch of different contracts that we might get into. Some of those contracts, today's the 3rd of February, some of those contracts only go to the 6th of February or for the next 3 days. Other contracts can go out years. In this case, for Walmart, we could get into contracts. Let's scroll down a little bit further. We get into contracts that stretch out as far as the 21st of January of 2028. That is 717 days on those contracts. But I'm going to pick one, and then I'm going to explain to you what it is we're getting ourselves into. How about we go to these contracts, the 20th of February of 2026. Those are 17-day contracts, and the little number here, 100, tells us that each contract is for the potential exchange, the purchase or sale of 100 shares of stock. That's what the 100 means. So 100 shares of Walmart in this case. So I'm going to open up that contract expiration. And the next thing I'm going to draw your attention to is this column down the middle. It's titled Strike. We are going to strike a deal with another trader where we're going to give them the right to buy our shares from us for a specific price through the 20th of February. That sounds kind of like, why are we doing that? Well, you'll see why in just a moment. Here's the motivation of our investor. Let's say that our investor, the owner of the 100 shares of stock, let's just put ourselves in that role. So we own 100 shares of stock. And let's say, we're touching about $128 right now. Maybe we don't think there's much chance at all that our stock will go above 135 through the 20th of February. That's what this is. You can't see the 2, but it says 2/20/26. So this might help you visualize, maybe our stock goes up a bit as it's waffling around, but let's just say we don't think it's likely to go above 135. Well, here's the contract that we're going to get ourselves into. We're going to strike a deal through the 20th of February where someone else is going to have the right to buy our shares for $135 per share. So that's our example trade. Our example trade in this case is going to be something known as a covered call. And it begins with 100 shares, and they're currently worth 127. I'm just going to write this down just for point of reference. We own 100 shares, and they're currently worth 127.78, and we're going to sell the 20th of February 135 call. That's this strike price. We're striking a deal for someone else to have the right to buy our shares for 135. And right now, that deal is worth somewhere between $1.34 and $1.40 per share. So I'm going to split the difference. It doesn't always work this way. Let's say that we're able to get into this contract for $1.37 per share, somewhere right in the middle. So here, if it's helpful, let's reverse engineer this deal. All right. Matter of fact, how about I do this? I'm just going to go ahead and place that trade right now. We already own 100 shares of Walmart. So I'm in the same account where the shares are owned. I can see that because if I go to the monitor page, there are those shares. So let's go to the trade tab, and I'm going to click on what's called the bid price to enter into this contract. I'm going to click on the bid, and that creates an order to sell 10 contracts. I'm going to change that to just one. Let's sell just one contract for the 20th of February, 135 call. And let's see if we can get maybe, should we see if we can get $1.35 for this? I'll see. Now I'm gonna leave it at $1.33. We'll see. But I'm going to put it in an order to just say at minimum, we'll accept $1.33. Otherwise, the order just won't fill. This is just what we call a limit order. But I'm going to submit this order. Let's click confirm and send to sell this one contract. -1 means that we're selling 20th of February, 135 call for $1.33 minimum or limit. All right, now there's no commission to place this trade, but there can be on some types of trades. No, I'm sorry, on this trade, let me backpedal for just a second. There is a commission. I kind of got it stuck in my head that I want to do everything for free. This trade isn't free in real life, but in paper money, it is, obviously. Yeah, this 65-cent commission, it's a fake commission. It's just to remind us that we actually would be paying commissions in real life. But yeah, we'll just bear that in mind. But let's send that order off. There we go. And let's see if we can get that to work. There it is. We actually just sold that for $1.36. Okay, that's going to make this a little bit more real for me to talk about the actual numbers. So going back to the trade tab, let's talk about exactly what we just did. We just got ourselves into a contract. Here are the explicit terms of this contract. We just sold a 20th of February 135 call. When we sell something, we get paid for it, right? When you sell a car, you get paid for it. You sell a house, you get paid for it. In this case, we got paid $1.36 per share for the potential exchange of 100 shares of stock, or in other words, $136 was just credited to our portfolio, minus the 65 cents that we paid in fake commission, right? So it actually about $135.35. In any case, we just got paid. What did we get paid to do? You know, in contracts, there's always a little bit of a give and a little take, right? There's something that one party gets and something the other party gets for getting into this deal. So this is the motivation for doing this contract for us. We just got paid $136. Well, in exchange, someone else has the right for the next 17 days or through the 20th of February to buy our shares from us for $135. In the old days when this was done over the phone, they might have called us and said, hey, Cameron, I'm requiring that you sell those shares to me according to the terms of this contract that I have with you. In which case we might have replied, that's okay, I got you covered. I got the shares right here. You're making a covered call. Does that make sense? Gario says, can you show how to toggle between paper trading and live? That's a great question. I'm going to say I'm not going to do that today, but I'm going to give you an easy resource to learn how. Okay? Let me pause my presentation here for just a moment, understanding the contract that we just got into, because I want to encourage you to be following your favorite Schwab presenters on social media. It's the best place to connect with us in between these live streams. You might think, hey, Cameron, when the camera's off, how do I get in contact with you? Well, you can get in contact with me on X or on LinkedIn. So you can follow Mike's there in the chat helping out with the questions. Thanks, Mike, for helping out. You can follow Mike Fairborn and me on X as an example. So I'm going to go to X, and I want to point out a video that I just made. So here's my X profile. You can find Mike on X and follow him at Mike Fairborn CS. You can find me and follow me on X at Cameron May CS. But just recently, there was a great question there, Gario. How can you show how to toggle between paper trading and live? Let me scroll down through my feed for just a moment until I see a video. And look at this. It says, here's how to open and run Thinkorswim live trading and paper money at the same time and how to avoid confusing the two. So there's a 1 minute, 48-second video to show you exactly how to do that. All right. So yeah, there are great reasons to be following your favorite presenters. There's additional learning and communication that can go on here. And if you reply to one of my posts on X or on LinkedIn, I just try to reply right back to you. As a matter of fact, I was on both those platforms today. I answered about 15 comments on X. I answered maybe 2 or 3 on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I just started a couple of months ago. So you can find me on LinkedIn here. Just go to linkedin.com/in and then /Cameron May CS. All right. Anyway, back to our contract. Ooh, contract is a scary word. What did we just get ourselves into? Well, regarding the scariness of this contract, remember, this is a simulated trading environment. There's no real money being invested. There's no risk in this trade, but we're still learning how it works. See the value of this? It may never play a role in your portfolio. That's okay. That's up to you to decide. But this is a contract between 2 traders. We are the seller. We sold a call. We got paid. Someone else is the buyer of this contract. They paid the $136, and in exchange, they got a promise from us that says, "Dear mystery other trader, I, Cameron May, promise to sell my shares to you, my shares of Walmart, to you for $135 at any time you choose to do it, as long as it's done by the 20th of February. That's the deal. Now, let's go back to the chart and look at this. The shares are only worth $128-ish. Even if someone else has the right to buy those shares from us for $135, do they have much motivation to do that right now? Probably not. It's highly unlikely. They could, actually. They could choose to say, you know what, Cameron, I know the shares aren't worth $135. I'm going to buy it from you anyway. They could do it right now. Okay, twist my arm, buy my shares, overpay me for more than $7, whatever. Those shares would be sold. We have to be prepared for that. But more likely, those traders are going to wait for the stock to get above 135 and get closer to the expiration. In most scenarios, actually, the contract is not exercised or, from our perspective, assigned. The shares are not purchased before that expiration date. They can be, though. All right, so Dwayne says, Cameron, what tools do you use to keep track of your trades? The nice thing is, Dwayne, built right into this platform, there are tools to help us monitor the progress of existing positions. For example, here's our Walmart trade. We own 100 shares. We've now sold 1 call. We can see the prices at which those transactions initially happened. We can see what the current market price of those transactions might be to close out those positions. And if we have historical positions, so this is current positions, we can track the performance of those. If we want to go look at the account statement, we can go look at our history. We can sort by symbol, by time frame. Yeah, there are great tools embedded right within the platform. H.E. McCrae says, my bid and ask don't agree with yours. Why? There could be a couple of reasons. The most likely reason is that for some platforms, there can be a little bit of a delay. Mine is real-time data. If yours says delayed up here, it might be a number of minutes behind mine. Yep, that's it. All right, so in any case, somebody asked, can you put a stop on these sorts of trades? Yes, you can. I'm not going to demonstrate that today. I wanted to keep today's discussion as high level as possible to make it is comprehensible for the very first new learner of options for today. But I think we've made good progress toward accomplishing what I wanted to do. Number one, I wanted to show the tools that can enable one to actually trade options. And Thinkorswim can do that. We can do practice trading, or we can do live trading. Number two, I wanted to talk through how we might gain knowledge about how options work. What are they? What are the pros and the cons? How can they work or fail? What are the different strategies? And so I provided 3 tools for you. Number 1 was the embedded education within Thinkorswim. Number 2 was the structured set of lessons that I put together for new options traders. And number 3 were the ongoing webcasts that relate to getting started with options. Then it's rubber meets the road time. Time to break the ice and actually place a trade. And we got that done within just a couple of minutes. And that is putting a trade into play and just seeing how it goes. Don't put the pressure on yourself that, oh, got to make money on every trade. Nobody can do that. Maybe some, but some either extremely gifted or maybe more likely just extremely lucky person can put together a very, very long winning streak. But typically reality comes crashing in for just about everybody. So don't be worried if we don't have a profitable trade right out of the gate. There's plenty to be learned from losing trades as well. But break the ice. Get in and place that first practice trade, even if we don't entirely know what we're doing. That's okay. There's even a reset button within this Paper Money platform. But yeah, it can be done, says I showed in that video of setting up your live platform and your Paper Money platform at the same time, maybe change the color scheme of the two. So there's very clear delineation between the two. We don't confuse live for Paper Money. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, because we don't want to be thinking we're doing practice trading and actually be doing live trading. There you go. Yeah, so watch that video. If it's helpful to you, let's go back to my X account. So it's at Cameron May CS. And it's really just a few posts down. If you just scroll down a little bit, you'll see that video right there, how to open and run live trading and Paper Money at the same time. All right, but guys, we've done what I set out to do today. I hope this was a helpful introduction, just how to learn options trading without investing a penny, without spending, or without risking a dime. So if it's just the start of your learning journey about options, have fun along the way. Our education team is here to help out, so continue watching our webcasts, enjoy those lessons. At this point, though, I'm going to go through the resources they have just one more time. Number 1 is, if you haven't subscribed to our Trader Talks channel on YouTube, do that now. It's called Trader Talks Schwab Coaching Webcast. Just click the subscribe button down below the video right now. It only takes a second. It doesn't cost anything, but this is where you can join our live streams and you can find playlists of previous webcasts. Number 2 is to follow us on social media. You can find Mike and me on X. So for Mike, it's at Mike Fairborn CS. For me, it's at Cameron May CS, the CS standing for Charles Schwab. And if you reply to one of my posts here, I just try to reply right back to you. So I was talking about replying to posts. I was doing that just today. I had about 10 people that had answered a question that I posed regarding this movement. Do we think this is going to recover or continue to sell off? And so we've had a little bit of a discussion there. But also over on LinkedIn. If you reply to one of my posts here, I just try to reply right back to you as well. Really great place to interact with your favorite presenters in between the live streams. Hey, everybody, thanks for all the thumbs up. I can see 168 people watching the live stream right now. It looks like we have 46 that have already clicked that like button. That's very much appreciated. Definitely, when you click the like button, yes, it sounds like applause to your presenter. It sounds like applause for a job well done, but also it gives my videos a boost in the YouTube algorithm. It gives a little nudge to YouTube. Hey, this was a good webcast. This was a good video. Other people should see it, and then YouTube promotes it a little bit better. And more people can learn things like how to learn options trading without actually taking any risk. So thanks for doing that, everybody. Time for me to let you go. As you do, just remember there is a survey in the chat window for the live attendees. Just click on that survey link. It's only a couple of questions and a comments box and a suggestion box. And I promise you I will read that data and I read those comments if you take time to fill that out. Mike, thanks for helping out. Hey, Franco, you're absolutely welcome. Richard, always my pleasure. Mighty Mouse, thanks for the like. I definitely appreciate that. Guys, I will look for you in tomorrow's webcast because I have something new every single day of the trading week. As long as the markets are open, as long as I'm not on vacation, I have a new webcast every day on a range of topics. So I'll see you in tomorrow's webcast, or maybe just next Tuesday for another discussion of getting started with options. I'll also look for you on social media, on X and on LinkedIn. But whenever I see you again, until that moment arrives, I want to wish you the very best of luck. Happy trading. Bye-bye.